When the cell was first discovered, it was described as a simple structure filled with gel-like liquid. Right now, evolution is at the root of all of the ideas of divinity denial and atheism. Evolutionists, based on the simple structure of this cell in the discoveries of that time, said, why shouldn't this simple structure come into existence by chance over billions of years with evolution? They set out with such a claim. So now, what kind of delusion is still defending evolution despite having discovered today the complexity of the cell, the incredibly delicate structures and processes happening inside it? Michael Denton had confessed for this complexity and delicate structures and processes. Moreover, Oparin, a Russian evolutionist and a fierce supporter of evolution, also makes a confession and regrettably says after his discovery of the marvelous technology existing inside the cell is the darkest point of evolution. Apparently he was a righteous person to some extent, as he was courageous enough to say this, unlike others who unfortunately still defend evolution. Those who still defend evolution say for this complexity inside the cell, even in such a way as to deny the spectacular structure of it, functioning as if it was a microcity. No, from where do you come up with such complexity and orderliness and regularity claims? These are all complicated matters. Unfortunately, their stubbornness about their delusion continues. We had mentioned Michael Denton earlier. Let's look at what he says about this topic. If we walk through any of these doors, he says, meaning those doors on the cell's membrane after magnifying the cell, we would face an extraordinary technology and complexity that would leave us astonished. This is what we call a miracle. Why? Look, the professor declares his impotence, he admits it. That is to say, where a professor declares his impotence, could the natural causes, meaning nature, coincidence and chance, have any say over anything? How can they have any say or verdict over anything after this? Again, another article written by Laurent Schrimpf et al. Has some very striking statements. In the article, they say they have demonstrated that nature is highly effective in recycling mRNAs. Of course, they cannot go without saying nature did this or does this. They just put a name to these things, they vulgarize them. They say that in the cell, in the nucleus of it, there is a structure called an RNA. This structure is very important in protein production, very necessary. They say that an average of 5,000 protein molecules are produced per RNA. And how often? Every second. Around 3,000 to 5,000 proteins are produced in each of our cells every second. Completely new proteins made from scratch. This efficiency seems incredible to us, they say. Intracellular protein production is very finely tuned. Pay attention to these expressions. It is very finely tuned and regulated based on precise needs. See, according to precise needs, with concentrations adjusted accordingly. This remarkable regulation has also been confirmed by other studies. Yes, look, a remarkable regulation, a phenomenal efficiency is being talked about here. A very fine tuning is being talked about. Can these incredible works be without a maker? Do these works not point to a possessor of infinite knowledge, volition, power and artistry? Don't they point to such attributes? But as you can see, they go and ascribe all these attributes to what they call nature in the beginning of their sentences. While the true possessor of all these attributes is Allah Almighty. Why Allah Almighty? It is because He contacted us. Yes, our Almighty Lord, the possessor of infinite volition and power, the Supreme Being who has created and is creating us and everything else, has contacted mankind, introduced Himself to us, sent messengers to us, and taught us His glorious name Allah, along with all the other beautiful names of Himself. Therefore we say that it is Allah who does, who makes, who creates everything. We say that the one who creates is Allah. Some call Him God, some call Him Jehovah, others call Him by other names, and as we've just demonstrated, some say that it is nature, but still they have to give a name to the maker, creator of all these things. But would you be worthy of being called sane or smart if you ascribe all these incredible attributes to something that cannot possibly possess those attributes? And if you cannot be called sane, would you deserve to be called a human? Does being a human on the outside mean in being a human on the inside? One ought to contemplate about this. So what is the thing called nature? Here, laws, causes, the cell itself are a parts of nature. Protein itself is part of nature. These guys, so to speak, say all these things happen on their own. So you praise and worship Selimiye Mosque, but totally ignore Mimar Sinan, the architect who built it. Their delusion is such a delusion as to say, wow, how incredible these stones and bricks were. Apparently they were such incredible artisans that they were able to build this amazing mosque. Yes, it is a far greater delusion to say that nature is the creator of all we see around us than to say those stones and bricks are the architects of the Selimiye Mosque.